Hello, friends. Welcome to Science Talk. I'm your host, Jim Massa. We're looking at a photo here, and this photo shows ice calving. You can see it's split off from the rest of the ice sheet. It's starting to crash into the water. It's forming some waves here. If you look over to this side of the photo, you can see there's a major split here, some other minor cracks appearing elsewhere. So what's going on here? An article appearing in The Guardian. The authoress is Gloria Dickey. And the Eki Glacier calving into the water is what that photo is. The Arctic is in a death spiral. How much longer will it exist? The region is unraveling faster than anyone could once have predicted, exponentiating. There's still time to act, quickly running out if it is there. At the end of July, 40% of the 4,000-year-old Milne ice shelf located on the northwestern edge of Ellesmere Island calved into the sea. Canada's last fully intact ice shelf gone. No more. On the other side of the island, and most northerly in Canada, the St. Patrick Bay ice caps completely disappeared. 2 weeks later, scientists concluded that the Greenland ice sheet may have already passed the point of no return. Annual snowfall is no longer enough to replenish the snow and ice lost during summer melting of the territory's 234 glaciers. Last year, the ice sheet lost a record amount of ice, equivalent to 1 million metric tons every minute. The Arctic is unraveling, and it's happening faster than anyone could have imagined just a few decades ago. Northern Siberia and the Canadian Arctic are now warming 3 times faster than the rest of the world. Not even twice as fast, 3 times faster. In the past decade, Arctic temperatures have increased by nearly 1 C. If greenhouse gas emissions stay on the same trajectory, we can expect the North to have warmed by 4 C year-round by the middle of the century. So as I'm going to scroll down here, this is showing sea ice, right? So, here's Alaska, there's the Kamchatka Peninsula, here's Russia. So this is the Siberian, East Siberian Sea, Laptev, so on. Here's Greenland, Ellesmere Island, okay? In the Arctic, the warm summer months melt away ice. Winter snowfall freezes it back. But as the climate warms, the Arctic loses more ice than it gains back. So I'm going to scroll down and keep your eye on what happens in the middle there. You'll see it change. So this is the Arctic ice in August 1980. The Greenland ice sheet is no longer growling. Instead of gaining new ice every year, it begins to lose roughly 51 billion metric tons annually, discharged into the ocean as meltwater and icebergs. Now, August 1981. We'll keep track of the ice loss in red compared to August 1980. So in other words, if you scroll back up, okay, there's white. Let's scroll down. And you see how that's now black. That is showing, so the red outline is the original extent of the ice. The black, we see here, here, dotted all over the place. That's showing ice loss. 1981. Get to 2010, considerably more is gone. A chunk of ice 4 times the size of Manhattan breaks off the Petermann Glacier off Greenland. That's over on this side here. I think it is. I have to look that up now. I forgot. Causing the ice sheet to retreat 18 kilometers. So that's cool. It's probably this one here, retreating upward. With little snow falling during winter, Greenland's ice cap is subjected to record melting, which lasts 50 days longer than average. That is significant. Now we get to 2012. And 2012 is a record low sea ice year. Here's the East Siberian and Laptev Sea. Here's the Chukchi and the Beaufort Sea. Pretty much empty. And this is getting over into the Kara Sea, is the Laptev Sea, right? All those ice is lost. And then we come to August 2020, and we've just set a new, and by the time October 2020 rolled around, we set a new record low sea ice. It's the second, as of August 2020, was the second lowest. As of October 2020, it's a new record low. Even if we stop all greenhouse gas emissions tomorrow, Arctic sea ice will continue melting for decades. We've locked it in. Same thing for Antarctica. There's no facet of Arctic life that remains untouched by the immensity of change here, except perhaps the dance between light and darkness. The Arctic as we know it, a vast icy landscape with reindeer, polar bears, cod, seal, will be frozen only in memory. In other words, it will be the BOE, Blue Ocean Event, will be ice-free. A new nature climate change study predicts that summer sea ice floating on the surface of the Arctic Ocean could disappear entirely by 2035. That's the BOE plus 10 I discussed before. Until relatively recently, scientists didn't think we'd reach this point until 2050 at the earliest. Reinforcing this finding, last month Arctic sea ice reached its record low, 41 years of data. And there is a walrus sitting on an ice floe. The ice floes disappear, where the walrus is going to go, where the polar bear is going to go, where the seal is going to have their pups. These organisms, these marine mammals, are endangered. The latest models are basically showing that no matter what emission scenario we follow, we're going to lose summer sea ice cover before the middle of the century, said Julian Streve, a senior research scientist at the U.S. National Snow Ice Data Center, NSIDC, Boulder, Colorado. Even if we keep warming to less than 2°C, ain't happening, it's still enough to lose that summer sea ice in some years. At outposts in the Canadian Arctic, permafrost is thawing 70 years sooner than predicted. Roads are buckling, houses are sinking. In Siberia, giant craters pockmark the tundra as temperatures rise, hitting, as we saw earlier in the summer, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 C, in the town of Verkhoyansk in July. This spring, one of the fuel tanks at a Russian power plant collapsed, dumping 21,000 metric tons of diesel into the waterways. That is a catastrophe. This was attributed to the subsiding permafrost. I did a video some time ago about how the thawing permafrost is damaging and endangering the infrastructure of such northern communities. The thawing permafrost releases CO2 and methane. Also, nitrous oxide is another greenhouse gas that is being released from the permafrost as it thaws. That creates a positive feedback loop, further exacerbating the warming. We saw the wildfires. I discussed that with you. It's now common in hot and dry parts of the Arctic. In recent summers, major fires have torn across the tundra of Sweden, Alaska, and Russia, destroying native vegetation, further drying out the ground, further thawing out the ground, further releasing greenhouse gases. This is injurious to reindeer and caribou. Reindeer are the tamed caribou, but they can breed, and then the caribou are the wild ones. Caribou eat mosses, lichens, and basically short-growing grasses. Rain on snow events have also increased frequency. Basically, what this does is, instead of just having snow, which is usually dry form, the ungulates, hoofed animal, can walk up with their paws, remove the snow, eat the vegetation. Well, now the vegetation is being coated in ice, which then compromises the nutritional value of the vegetation to the organism. Not good for the organisms. I've done some video reports where I talk about, like, for example, we're seeing rain now in Greenland, and that's accelerating the melting of the Greenland ice. Between 2013 and 2014, estimated 61,000 animals died on Russia's Yamal Peninsula due to mass starvation during a rainy winter. Overall, the global population of reindeer and caribou has declined by 56% in the last 20 years, over half. That is alarming. Such losses have devastated the indigenous people whose culture and livelihoods are interwoven with caribou. Inuit use all parts of the caribou: sinew for thread, hide for clothing, antlers for tools, flesh for food. Europe and Russia, the Sami people herd thousands of reindeer across the tundra. Warmer winters have forced many of them to change how they conduct their livelihoods. And then, of course, you have the corporations that go, oh, yeah, we've got open oceans and all the stuff melting. Let's exploit all the resources there. Let's go drilling for oil and gas. Let's go mining for minerals and so on. And yeah, this is becoming a problem. They're not learning their lessons. And then, of course, the Northwest Passage, the infamous Northwest Passage through the Canadian Arctic archipelago, could soon yield another shortcut. Vanishing ice in Greenland, exposing uranium, zinc, gold, iron, other rare earths. This is a melting glacier on the Svalbard archipelago near Longyearbyen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Norway in July of this year, 2020. We're seeing tourism booming because now, a little easier to get to there. Stopping climate change in the Arctic and the planet requires an enormous reduction in emission of fossil fuels, and the world has done diddly squat in that regard. Even as we seize all emissions now, it would take decades for the gases to dissolve, dissipate, temperatures to stabilize, although some recent research suggests the span could be shorter. It all depends on the thermal inertia, thermal energy in the system. I am of the opinion it's going to take some time. It's got to be a reduction in emissions and carbon capture at this point, explains Shriva. We need to take out what we've already put in there. Other strategies that may help mitigate the damage include the Yupik village of Newtok in northern Alaska, where thawing permafrost has eroded the ground underfoot, will be relocated by 2023. Conservation groups are pushing for the establishment of several marine conservation areas throughout the high Arctic to protect wildlife. In 2018, 10 parties signed an agreement that would prohibit commercial fishing in the high seas of the Central Arctic Ocean for at least 16 years. The Arctic of the past is already gone. Following our current climate trajectory, it will be impossible to return to the conditions we saw just 3 decades ago. Some experts believe there's still time to act to preserve what once was. I'm not optimistic, to be blunt. The Arctic has changed. It's really not quite the Arctic anymore. Yes, we still get the cold temperature, get the snow and so forth, but it's changing. Maybe called Neo-Arctic or something. I don't know. But it has drastically changed. In my 33 or so years here in Alaska, I have seen major changes as well. It's a whole new northern realm. But we've got all these positive feedback loops in place, everything melting, in temperatures increase, the CO2 increase, all exponentiating, increasing. It is, as it says here at the top, all that. It's in a death spiral. The Arctic is in a death spiral. So there you have it. More concerning news. Thank you for your time. Hello, folks. This is Jim here with Science Talk, asking you to please subscribe to my channel and to inform others of my channel and of the work that I do. Please share to social media platforms that you use. Also, as a reminder, don't forget to click the bell so that you know when I load up more videos. Finally, I ask that you support the work that I do by becoming a patron at patreon.com. Details in the description box below. Thank you for your support.